anyone who does not agree with these things or does not think that they should be the law? For the record again.
Courtrooms are expected to be places of order, discipline, and careful argument. Judges enforce the law, attorneys present evidence, and defendants wait as their fate is decided through a structured legal process. But what happens when emotions spiral out of control inside the very room meant to maintain justice? What could push someone to suddenly attack their own lawyer, a prosecutor, or even someone who has nothing to do with their case? Across different trials, there have been shocking moments when defendants exploded into violence, turning calm legal proceedings into scenes of chaos. These incidents show how fragile courtroom control can sometimes be when anger, fear, or desperation overwhelm a defendant. 1. Michael Cox, Jr. attacks the prosecutor. One dramatic courtroom incident involved Michael Cox, Jr., who had just been convicted of inappropriately touching a 5-year-old girl. The verdict had already been delivered, and the courtroom was transitioning to the next stage of proceedings. Judge Jerry Ritter called a bench conference with the lawyers representing both sides of the case. Among them was Deputy District Attorney Scott Key, the prosecutor who had successfully argued the case against Cox. To Cox, however, the prosecutor represented the man responsible for his conviction and the years of prison time that were about to follow. As the conference ended and the attorneys began returning to their seats, Cox suddenly jumped out of his chair. Without warning, he lunged at Key and launched a violent attack. The prosecutor was knocked to the floor as Cox continued striking him. However, Key managed to stand up and defend himself, turning the situation into a brief but intense fight right in the middle of the courtroom. Judge Ritter immediately left the bench and rushed toward the confrontation. At the same time, someone from the courtroom gallery attempted to step in, but the judge ordered them to stand back and allow trained personnel to handle the situation. Security officers quickly arrived and restrained Cox before placing him in handcuffs. After the incident, the courtroom was cleared. Cox's violent outburst only made his situation worse. He ultimately received an 18-year sentence for the child molestation conviction, along with an additional 6.5 years for the courtroom assault. 2. Peter Heyer knocks out his own lawyer. In another shocking case, the violence came from a defendant who turned on the very person assigned to defend him. Peter Heyer had been charged with burglarizing a Kmart store. Because he could not afford a private attorney, the court assigned him a public defender named Doug Kreiser. From the beginning, Heyer believed Kreiser was not the right lawyer for him. During their first meeting, he quickly became convinced that the attorney would not represent him properly. Heyer asked the judge to assign him a different lawyer, but the request was denied. Feeling ignored and frustrated, Heyer began expressing his dissatisfaction openly in court. He even made a sarcastic remark that he would rather have the prosecutor represent him than the lawyer who had been assigned to him. Suddenly, his frustration turned into violence. Heyer threw a punch that landed directly on Kreiser's chin, knocking the attorney unconscious. He then delivered several additional blows to the lawyer's face and stomach before authorities stepped in. The attack shocked everyone in the courtroom. However, the aftermath was somewhat unexpected. Kreiser later appeared in a television interview and revealed that he did not blame Heyer for what happened. He even forgave him and chose not to press charges. The judge, however, still punished Heyer for the assault by adding 6 months to his jail sentence. 3. William Green blindsides a public defender. Some courtroom attacks occur without any warning at all. One such incident involved William Green in a Fort Lauderdale courtroom. Green was in court facing battery charges related to an earlier attack on a mental hospital employee. However, during the hearing in question, it was not even his turn to appear before the judge. He was simply sitting among other defendants waiting for his case to be called. At the same time, Assistant Public Defender Julie Chase was standing at the podium representing another inmate. Without warning, Green stood up and walked toward her. In a split second, he threw a powerful punch that struck Chase from the side. The blow knocked her unconscious. Sheriff's deputies quickly rushed in and restrained Green while medical personnel transported Chase to a hospital. Fortunately, she recovered fully from the attack. Later, when speaking publicly about the incident, Chase described the experience as shocking and completely unexpected. Her mother recalled the frightening moment she received a phone call informing her that her daughter had been attacked in court. Despite the trauma, Chase used the experience to advocate for better treatment and care for mentally ill individuals within the jail system. Green faced additional battery charges because of the assault. 4. Christopher Jackson attacks his lawyer and his mother. In another chaotic courtroom moment, Christopher Jackson turned violent not only toward his lawyer, but also toward his own family. Jackson had been charged with trespassing, resisting arrest, and unlawful weapon use. During the hearing, his mother attended the courtroom and tried to keep him calm when he began behaving disrespectfully. Instead of calming down, Jackson shoved his mother aside. His lawyer then attempted to reason with him, hoping to de-escalate the situation. That effort only made Jackson angrier. He began stomping his feet and shouting in the courtroom before grabbing a chair and attempting to throw it at his attorney. His mother tried to stop him, but Jackson grabbed another chair and threw it toward a courtroom employee. The courtroom quickly descended into panic. Deputies rushed in to restrain Jackson. Even while being arrested, he continued resisting by hiding his hands beneath his body and refusing to cooperate. Eventually, officers managed to restrain him fully. Jackson was later convicted of second-degree assault, attempted second-degree assault, and 2 counts of assaulting a public safety officer. His violent actions added several years to his prison sentence. 5. Taylor Schabusiness attacks her lawyer. Perhaps one of the most disturbing courtroom incidents involved Taylor Schabusiness, whose case had already shocked the public because of the brutality of her crime. Schabusiness had been charged with murdering and decapitating her boyfriend, Shad Therian. Investigators said she strangled him with a chain before dismembering his body and leaving his severed head in a bucket inside his mother's basement. After her arrest, Schabusiness confessed to the killing but later pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. During the trial, she often displayed unusual behavior. At times, she appeared to smirk or laugh during serious courtroom discussions. Then, during a pre-trial hearing, her lawyer requested a delay so the court could evaluate her mental competency. That moment triggered an unexpected explosion. Schabusiness suddenly jumped up and attacked her own attorney. Deputies quickly rushed in and tackled her to the ground. Even more strangely, once the attack was over, she appeared confused and claimed she did not remember what had happened. Despite her insanity defense, the jury eventually found her guilty on all counts. She was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of release. 6. Joshua Harding tries to stab a prosecutor. Another case showed how a courtroom attack could have deadly intentions. Joshua Harding was on trial for sexual abuse. During the proceedings, he grew increasingly angry with Assistant Prosecutor Jonathan Roth, who repeatedly emphasized the seriousness of Harding's crimes and the harm caused to the victims. Harding decided to retaliate. As the jury returned with its verdict, Harding suddenly pulled a metal shank from his sleeve and lunged toward the prosecution table. He rushed past another prosecutor and attempted to stab Roth directly. The prosecutor managed to move away at the last moment, narrowly avoiding the attack. A detective quickly tackled Harding to the ground, preventing further violence. The attempted stabbing added major charges to Harding's record. He ultimately received a lengthy prison sentence that significantly extended his time behind bars. 7. Lamarcus Williamson punches his lawyer. After sentencing, another courtroom explosion occurred during the sentencing of Lamarcus Williamson. Williamson had pleaded guilty to robbery and assault charges after attacking a university student. His lawyer had advised him that pleading guilty might result in a lighter sentence. However, when Williamson appeared in court for sentencing, his main attorney was absent. Instead, a colleague named Dan Hall stepped in to handle the hearing. As the judge announced the sentence, 15 years in prison, Williamson appeared shocked and overwhelmed. Hall tried to comfort him and guide him out of the courtroom. Instead, Williamson suddenly turned and punched the lawyer in the face. Deputies immediately tackled him and restrained him while Hall wiped blood from his face. Ironically, it was Hall's birthday that day, and he later joked that getting punched in court was not the birthday gift he had expected. Williamson received an additional 6 months in prison for contempt of court. These cases raise an important question. Why do some defendants lose control inside a courtroom where the consequences are guaranteed to be severe? For some, it may be anger or humiliation after hearing a guilty verdict. For others, it may come from mental health struggles, fear, or a feeling that the system has already decided their fate. Whatever the cause, these shocking incidents show that even in the most controlled legal environments, human emotions can erupt in unpredictable ways. And when they do, the courtroom can transform from a place of justice into a scene of sudden violence. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.